Hey budget gardeners, Vita Loca here. Join me today as we plant some perennial mums in the landscape. So let's go. Mums, also called chrysanthemums, are a staple in many gardens during the late summer to early fall months. Most people buy them thinking that they're an annual, and they put them in pots or containers or even in their landscape around their yard, but then they think they're going to die and not come back the next year. And part of that is true, but part of that is false. A lot of mums that you buy from garden centers can actually be overwintered and come back the next year. But there are a couple of things to know. Number one, you want to make sure when you're buying your mums, you're buying the right type of mums. Always check the labels. A lot of times the label will say something like garden mum or hardy mum. It typically won't say that it's a perennial mum, but sometimes if you look a little bit carefully, it'll say that it's hardy in zones, let's say 4 through 9. That's how you know that that mum will come back for you. But it doesn't stop there. There are a lot of other things to keep in mind if you want to get your mums to come back the next year. Timing. You want to make sure you're planting your mums early enough in the season to make sure that those roots establish themselves. Today is September 3rd. I still have plenty of time here in New Hampshire, Zone 5B, for me to get my mums in the ground so that those roots can establish themselves. But the longer that I wait into the season, the more chances are that these mums will not survive. So the key is to get your mums in the ground as soon as you can. Sunlight. Mums prefer full sun, especially up in the colder northern climates. If you live down in the south, you could get away with planting your mums somewhere where they get part sun, but they definitely need a good amount of sun, so make sure that your mums are getting placed in a location where they're going to receive that sunlight. Water. You want to make sure you're giving your mums enough water, but not too much water. Too much water will rot the roots out, but not enough water will dry out your mums. You want to make sure you're giving your mums about 1 inch of water per week. A nice deep soaking is what they like. Soil. Make sure that the soil that you place your mums in is a nice, well-draining soil. Again, you don't want the water to be sitting at the roots because that's not going to be good for your mums. I want to show you a couple of mums that I have in my landscape that come back for me year after year. Look at all the buds on this mum. I've had this mum in my landscape for a few years now, and it has a beautiful purple color to it. I love the blooms on it. I did go ahead and I pinched back or cut back the mums sometime around the 4th of July. You typically want to do that with your perennial mums. You want to cut them back a few times, otherwise what will happen is they'll be leggy. So that's why it has a nice short stature to it. Here is my other perennial mum that's a purple color. I did the same thing. I had cut it back, and I made a video showing you my process for cutting back the mums. I'll be sure to put a link to that video down in the description below. You can usually start pruning back or cutting back your mums around Memorial Day weekend, but you want to stop doing that around the 4th of July, just to make sure that your mums have enough time to bud up again. And those are the 2 mums that I just showed you that are in my landscape here. Here we are in a different flower bed, and this mum has yellow flowers. It definitely is not as compact and tight as my purple colored mums. I'm not sure if it's because of the location where these mums are, or if it's just the fact that I didn't cut them back until a little bit later, or it could just be the variety of mums. I got these from my mother-in-law's. I just don't know the name or variety, but I do know that they're perennial. I know they're yellow, and they come back for me year after year. And I have quite a few of these mums in this flower bed down in my front yard. In case you're wondering, when is the best time to divide perennial mums? I normally like to do it in the springtime. So when it comes to this large clump of purple mums, as well as the other large clump of purple mums, I really want to tackle that project in the springtime. So let me go ahead and show you the mums that we're going to plant today. I bought 4 of these very small sized mums from Walmart, and the price was right. It was $1.44. I would say it's a 3-inch pot. So you really can't go wrong with not only the price, but also with taking a chance with such a small type of mum in case this doesn't work for you. And notice right on the pot, it says that it's a garden mum. They list it as an annual. However, it does show that it's hardy to zones 5 through 9. So that tells you right there that this can be treated as a perennial. It likes full sun, which is 6+ hours. And I want you to notice that these mums were grown in Connecticut, which is only about 2.5 hours south of where I live. I'm sure they were grown out in a big field, which means that they perennialize there and they come back year after year. And that tells me that I can do the same thing here in New Hampshire, as long as I give them the proper care that they need this time of year. I also got this really pretty cream or white colored small mum, a beautiful burgundy red colored small mum, and then finally a nice little yellow mum. Here is a larger size mum, and I paid $8 for this. I liked that it had the yellow center to it, and so I want to try to perennialize this one as well. And here's the variety of that mum. What I want you to notice is it also shows on there garden mum, and that's what you're looking for, is for it to say either it's a garden mum or a hardy mum. We're going to be using this Biotone Starter plant food. It's by Ipsoma. You probably noticed in a lot of my videos I don't use Biotone, but I definitely will be using it to plant the mums. I want the mums to take off. I want the roots to have a good root system well before the winter time. I want you to notice at the very bottom of the bag, it says it promotes root growth, and that's very, very important. And it also says it helps the plant establish fast. This is a 25-pound bag. I looked at the price per ounce on different websites, and I found this to be the cheapest on Amazon, and this bag will last me a long time. I made sure to give these mums a really good drink of water. They dry out so fast, especially in little pots like this. You don't want your mums to dry out. I have mulch here. I'm just going to move the mulch aside. When it comes to how big of a hole you want to make sure you make the hole about twice as wide as the plant is in the pot, because you want those roots to really expand. In terms of depth, it can be just as deep as what it is in the pot that you bought the mums in. This soil is really good. I've amended it many times over the years. I added compost to it just last year. If the soil you're putting your mums in is not very good, you might want to add some compost to the hole as well. I'm going to go ahead and add a small pinch of the Biotone to the planting hole. And even though I have irrigation set in this bed, I'm still going to add a little bit of water into the planting hole. Let's go ahead and take the plant out of the pot. I can tell you that this mum is not pot bound. The roots are not extensive, they're not crazy. But if you did buy mums that were very, very pot bound, you definitely want to go ahead and loosen up those roots. Don't go too crazy on that. Just loosen them up enough so that those roots can just really spread in the planting hole. And that's a good depth. It's just as deep as it was in the pot. So now I can go ahead and backfill with the soil and then the mulch afterwards. I'm going to give the plant some more water. And that's it. What I'm going to do is go ahead and plant the 3 other smaller mums just like this. My goal for this year is to just get these mums to overwinter. I want them to establish their roots. And then next year I can come back in here and I can divide them and move them around my landscape. I want to show you with this mum, you can see that I could definitely loosen the roots up on this guy. So we're going to do that. You can use any sort of tool that you might have, like a gardening tool, or you can just rough up the roots with your hands. When you're backfilling with the soil, definitely make sure that those roots are below soil level. And also you want to make sure you're pushing right down on your mums. You want that plant to have good contact with the soil. You want the roots to be in the ground. You want the roots fully covered, fully surrounded with the soil. But again, just make sure that you're not planting too deep either. And then you can bring your mulch back in and backfill around the plant. And if you don't have mulch in your flower bed, you can use something else. You can use anything like leaves to just mulch around the base of your plant to protect it for the winter months. and then a nice drink of water. Even though I placed the small little mums near my larger mums, what I'm planning to do is I will label the mums just by their colors so that I can remember next year what the colors were. They're all planted in this flower bed just so that I can keep my eye on them and I can keep them well watered. And of course, I can enjoy them during this season, but I really can't wait until next season when I see that they come back and I can share my progress on them with you, and I can also share how to divide them. Just to recap, make sure you read the labels. You're looking for a garden mum or a hardy mum. Sometimes they'll show you the hardiness zone for the mums, but sometimes it won't. You really don't have a lot to lose. Take a chance. The key is get the plants in as soon as possible, as soon as you see them in the garden center. Make sure that you put them in a full sun location. You want to make sure you're digging your hole twice as wide as the pot that the mums were in. I think biotone starter is a good idea to get those roots to really establish and take off. Give the mums plenty of water. Don't let them dry out. They should be planted in a full sun location where the soil can drain really well. And then make sure you're mulching your plant. Put some sort of mulch, some sort of protection around the base of the plant. You don't want it right up at the base too heavily as it's blooming right now, but definitely once the blooms have gone by, you can get that mulch right around the base. Some people like to even put leaves on top of their mums or some sort of hay or something to protect the mums. I haven't done that before, but you can definitely do that. You don't want to cut back any of the top growth once the mums have gone by. Leave that top growth on. That will actually insulate and help protect your plant during the winter months. Think about it. When the snow, when the leaves, everything comes on top of that plant, all of that is protecting your plant. So definitely do not cut off the top growth. You can cut off the top growth in the springtime when you see the new shoots emerging from the base of the plant. I really hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it inspired you to give mums a try in the landscape, to try to overwinter them, to try to get them to be a perennial so they come back year after year. And be sure to follow my page if you haven't already. I'd love it if you consider subscribing to my channel. I'll be showing you my process for dividing these mums as well as my process for cutting them back during the season to keep them nice and short and bushy. I hope you're able to get out in your gardens, and until the next video, make it a great day with gardening.